do right here is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back. Go back, go back, back, go back, go back, back, go back, go back, back. Way back.
Alright, and welcome back to another Kuma Style review. I'm TJ Duckett, and what we're reviewing today is Gokin. In fact, Max Factory's Gokin line, Max Gokin, their Gensic Gaogaigar, and it's from the Gaogaigar final OVA. So, very cool figure. Very, very, very big box that it comes in. Looks like I got another one with a handle here and things like that. Just so you can get a gauge for the size of the box. We will put Hasbro's Masterpiece Optimus Prime there. And for those of you who don't own Masterpiece Optimus Prime, the box itself is about 11 3/4 inches tall. So, very big box. Pretty tall box. Obviously, it's a rectangle. So, for you guys who are anal about that kind of stuff, we're looking at about 16 3/4 inches wide. So, most definitely. And it's heavy because this is a Gokin figure, meaning that it does contain die cast. So, very cool stuff, as well as a lot of accessories and things like that too. But looking at the box here, you'll see the Gensic Gaogaigar on the side. Quadruple G Gensic Gaogaigar. Of course, it's the final version from the final OVA. Nothing on the top, but a handle. Other side, same thing. Okay, bottom of the box, nothing. And on the back of the box here, looks like this is where the magic happens. We've got Gensic in a variety of poses here, showing off things like Protect Shade. Just a cool pose with Gaogaigar, which is his wing pack on the back, extended out. We've got some accessories there, so you know what it's coming with and things like that. As well as showing off some of his weapons over here as well. Variety of hands, and of course a bunch of kanji at the bottom that I do not understand. But okay, that's the box, and let's go ahead and get into this figure. Alright, so taking a look at what's in the box. Just an overview of things. You get a stand for Gaogaigar that comes with, you know, spaces to hold literally all of his accessories. It's very well done. He does come with Gaogaigar, which forms his wing pack. And, of course, it comes with Gensic Gaogaigar, final version. Now, taking a look at the accessories rack here, go ahead and just zoom in some. Focus there. Take Gadget out of the way, and we'll look at Gaogaigar when we look at the figure itself, because of course he's the wing pack. But you have space for everything. You have the will knife. Alright, you have the hand and protect shade. Okay. Have two alternate drills for his knees here. Comes with a second rack for the rest of his hands. Two larger, more open hands. Okay. These two are hands put together, have an inhale. As well as his other weapon, the bolting driver, with a variety of bolt types that peg into the end of here. Okay. There are also spaces for Gaogaigar over here. This neck on Gaogaigar, focus, it actually comes apart into pieces. I'm not going to do it because there's no point of ever taking this thing apart. But those pieces peg into these four sections here, and the head, there's a spot right there. So, taking a look, once again, turning that around. Yeah, and while we're looking at the figure, we'll also go ahead and put him on top of the stand so you can see how he looks you know, in those flight poses and things like that. But just wanted to give you an overview of what's in the box. Now we'll take a look at the figure himself. Alright, so now, here's where we take a look over the figure itself. Okay? First off, I just want to take a look at the head sculpt here. And you can see it's very, very well detailed. Okay? As well as the details for the other members of the team that this figure's comprised of. Alright? Now, his trademark flames. They come with a peg here, and they just peg into a hole behind his head. You can find it. Okay? And there's that. Alright. Now, looking at his height. Not a small figure. Head to toe, and this is with his legs spread, he is like exactly 7 inches tall. So that's going to put him at least 7 1/4 standing straight up. Now, when it comes to die-cast figures and things like that, a lot of people collect Gokin figures. And just to compare him to the SRC Gaogaigar. Let me turn on the light here. Get that out of the way. Just so you can see just how big this thing is. And personally, I love the scale of him in comparison. Because in reality, in the final version, it's all about really big bots. And Gensic Gaogaigar just came out like this big badass. With him and, you know, Jader and things like that. Man, you had a lot of big bots in that one. And it's really cool to have him be that big, imposing final version of this character. And for me, it doesn't really feel right with, you know, the very first version of him being the exact same size as the, you know, final end-all be-all ass-kicker version of him. So, okay. There's that. We'll go ahead and take a look at the posability of this figure, and then I really want to get into Gaogaigar. Alright, so his head, definitely on a ball joint, full range of motion. Okay? And one thing I do want to point out, before I get started with the rest of his body, is that the instructions that come for this thing, I'm going to zoom out, are very well done. On the first couple of pages here, you have the ins and outs of its posability. It tells you where it can turn, how far it can go, you know what I mean? Things like that. Well, of course you know what I mean, because I'm explaining it to you. But it's very foolproof. This is a very expensive and very, not necessarily fragile, but, you know, it's die-cast, so parts are heavy, things are more prone to break. And yeah, it's not something that you can just, you know, ball joint snap together because the joints are made different. A lot of ratchets and things like that in here. So it's nice to have instructions that tell you straight out, this is where it can move, this is what it can do, this is exactly how far you can go. Yeah, very foolproof. But anyway, going on with the motion here. Okay, the lion's mane does have some movement in there. Okay. His shoulders can definitely go in and out. Now, in terms of, you know, rotating forward and backwards his shoulders, they can't rotate very much forward at all, unfortunately, because of the lion's mane. And there's no amount of movement that'll let him do that. Now, they can, however, move up, which is nice. So no knocking there, but the forward movement would be, you know, be appreciated, more full range of motion. Now, for poses like the Heaven and Hell, where he grasps his arms together in front, his arms actually have the ability to move and slide under these shoulder pads here. So let's move them out some. On this end, let's go ahead and move it out some. And he does get quite a bit more range. So that you can now move around, okay? So as you saw, he has bicep swivel. He does have elbow articulation, very big forearms here. So not a lot of motion there. but enough to, count as a true bend for his arms. Okay, his wrists are interchangeable. They do come on swivels to move in and out, but these do peg into each forearm, so they don't have that ball jointed, just all around movement. They can still rotate, move, up and down in terms of the wrist, but they don't have like the side to side for the most part and things like that. Well, actually they do. I lied. So, just not much. Okay? Now the waist. Full rotation at the waist. Not going to move it too far there. Actually, it's a bit limited because of how the actual crotch gird itself works, but he does have waist articulation there. Alright. And Galleon, the lion here, his mouth does move up and down. Okay? So, these legs are incredibly heavy, just FYI, and extremely tight joints. So, just something to look out for there. But they are ball jointed as thighs. Because of, the thickness of the side skirts and stuff like that, he doesn't have a ton of like side to side or even forward motion, because his skirt really doesn't move up. It actually hits into his torso there. That could have been engineered a bit better, since it does have potential for full range of movement. I mean, look at the way it swings back. But these skirts really, botch that up. Okay? But it fits in with the aesthetic of the character, and this thing's just 100% accurate. It's crazy. Now looking at his knees here, he does have double jointed knees, but they're not, well, that's a single joint. It's just a little bit loose in one of his ratchets. So alright. Looks like one of his side skirts popped off there. That's just a ball joint, pops right on. Alright, now for the feet. You'll notice that he has these talons here rather than, actual feet. So he doesn't have, ankle tilt or anything like that, but he does have cool posability. Now, he has two on the front, one on the back, so the balance is definitely there. I mean, these feet are not only huge, but they're die-cast as well. Now, each of the talons can move pretty much all the way down. Okay? So you have a lot of grip there. But there are 4 sliders. Each of these black parts is a slider. So you can use them to slide up and down, and you can do them separately. So that, let's say he's more posed this way. You can have this slider up and bring this slider down some as well as that foot, so he's got more stability on the ground there. And same on this side too. And these also rotate. So quite a bit of posability there. And looking at just him kind of pushing forward here. I mean, take a look at that balance. And these talons are solid, so don't worry about, chipping them or anything like that. It's not something I'm going to say, go ahead and do this with one foot or one toe touching the ground on gravel, but, on a standard solid surface, it should be fine. But they are a little bit sharp. I display these in Deltoffs, which are glass cases. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it's going to be sharp. Alright, so we've taken a look at him. I do want to give you a view at all angles. You can see what's up. We'll revisit the back once we put Gaogaigar on. But I want to get to Gaogaigar. Alright. Now, here he is, Gaogaigar. Alright. You view from all angles here, and you can see it's big. This is not a small piece within itself. It's made perfectly in scale with, Gaogaigar. And you'll notice he does have the separate points of articulation there. Each of these pieces is posable on its own, and they are nice tight ball joints, so that's really cool. Alright, so he's incomplete though. In the cartoon, Gaogaigar's forearms are actually made from almost like bomb packs that go on the bottom right here. But outside of those, this is a pretty complete Gaogaigar. Like, it's nice. Alright, and there's really, I could see this being displayed separately, even though I wouldn't personally do it, because just like in the cartoon, for pretty much every version of Gaogaigar, you don't see him without his wing pack. You know, he goes from Guy, which is the non-suited up, just plain mecha, into the full formation in the Gaogaigar. You know, wing pack included. You rarely see him without it. So, okay. This attaches. Let me see if I can get some light on there. See that big hole? Well, now you can see it. Looking through the back of the camera. There's a slot on there. And it just kind of goes over and down. Okay? Alright, let's straighten this guy up. Let's get the light off him. He is very silvery in color, so I'm trying not to get that there. Alright, so we've got Gaogaigar with his wing pack. Alright? So that's pretty cool. That's big, imposing. But check this out. Just like in the cartoon, the wing pack actually transforms. So for the most part, these bottom two pieces are going to remain the same. But let me zoom out because this is pretty big. You start by taking these pieces, pulling them up, okay? Taking these, and there's a track that they run along, so you just got to feel for the track. It actually brings them like up, down, around, all that good stuff. And then there's these. Okay? And you can see it forms the eyes and stuff like that too. Really cool stuff. We went over how Gaogaigar is about 7 inches tall, while I place that drill back on the front of the knee. Now let's take a look at the wingspan though. From tip to tip, it is about 12.5 inches. So definitely have some free space on whatever shelf you're going to put this guy on, because it's not small. Now the tail is of course still completely posable and things like that, you know, however you want to do that, like that kind of deal. But take a look at him now. I mean, this guy went from being boss to the boss. Alright? And just a comparison, again, to the regular Gaogaigar. Right there. Zoom out some. Yeah. This is definitely a very huge figure with a lot of die cast to him and things like that. And I mean, it just bleeds cool. I love it once you get this mode put intact. So, okay. For whatever reason, oh, he's not standing straight up. That would be why. And he can, as you can see, bend side to side there. That's a piece that I did miss. Sorry. Okay. And there you go. There is the Gensic Gaogaigar. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. Alright, now we can move him aside and take a look at some of the accessories. We already previewed them when we went over the overview of what comes in the box, but now we can go ahead and take a look at how these things actually attach. Alright, so for the Protect Shade, as well as the Willed Knife and Bolt Driver, you need to take the hands off. Okay, so for this right hand, it kind of twists and the whole thing comes off. Okay, now for Protect Shade, what you do, there's a piece here that connects the fist. You just switch out the hand. Oops. Place it in here, and then pop this into the forearm. Get the hand turned to the side here. and zoom in so you can see how it looks. Alright. Alright, okay. So there's Protect Shade. So, since we're messing around with that same hand, let's go ahead and take this off. Pop it off. And the driver just pops right in. Okay? And you can see it's a pretty long weapon as well. And the different ends just peg in like so. Alright, now I'm going to take that completely off because I think he kind of looks goofy with both weapons. It wasn't really something done on the show or anything like that. But we're going to peg back in that hand and we'll take a look at Will Knife. Now, this one has more of a gear type connector for the fist. They pop in and out, same way though. And Will Knife just goes right in. Okay. There's that. Okay. Now, popping that back in. Okay. Alright, now we can also go ahead and do Heaven and Hell. We'll pop each fist out. Whoops. We can just go ahead and pop that side in. We already went over how to extend the shoulders out, extend the arms out that way. And then we're just angling these in. Alright, in fact, I'll go ahead, bring the leg forward, because he always did it in a dashing fashion. Okay, and we'll bring that side down. Like I said, I love the balance in here. And we'll bring the camera up to give it a better view. But okay, now you can see how that looks. Pretty cool stuff. And like I said, I love the posability on this guy. In fact, I'll turn off a light so you guys can see a little bit more of the detail. But yeah, overall, cool stuff. So we'll go ahead and turn this light back on, zoom back out, and we'll take a look at the stand. You know, and before I do that, take these hands out, that forearm piece back in. The drills, the alternate drills, the plain style, they just pop off and pop on like so. Really nothing to those at all. Okay. Now we do have a variety of hands here. See exactly what you're getting at there. But since we're going to put them in a flight pose, I want them to have something a bit more imposing. We'll go ahead and use these large open hands. And there's 1, 2. Okay. So get those turned appropriately. And this just sits on top of here. You just peg it in so it fits the crotch area. Kind of hard to see though. Go ahead and do that. In fact, we'll have one hand pointing outwards. Put the waist in some. And bring the camera down. While we're doing that, we'll turn off the light here. Tighten that up. And alright, just so you guys can see how he looks, you know, while in flight and stuff like that. It's very cool stuff. Zoom in here so you can get a closer view. Definitely makes for a nice display piece when you've got them in the flight positions, especially with that large wingspan and everything like that. But what's cool is that you can do this while having everything, you know, accounted for. And the default fist, you know, there's even a spot for those on here. And yeah, just overall good stuff. I just really enjoy the articulation, the accessories, and the fact that there's a spot to store all of the accessories as well. Now, final thoughts. Is this something I would recommend? By all means, yes. I'm a big fan of Gaogaigar, and I'm a big fan of Gokin or die-cast figures in general. This is one that contains a lot of die-cast, quite a bit, especially in the leg area. You know, very solid, very hefty, great joints, good posability. I do have to note that mine is version 2. You can tell by this little crotch piece right here, what I'm pointing to. The original release was yellow in that area, while mine's red. The second release apparently has improved joint quality and things like that, so that's something to look out for. Don't really know too much about the original release since I looked for this one straight out. Okay, but overall, the version that I have is a very, very, very solid figure. I love the huge size. I love that he scales very well with the Super Robot Gokin figures. And yeah, even price-wise, Mandaraki has it for what? I believe it was $285 shipped. And this thing retailed for, you know, originally a couple of years ago. Like 5 years ago, actually. I believe, yeah. And it originally retailed for over $200 shipped in the first place, especially if you went EMS. It was $185, so shipping had to be at least $40-50. So you're looking at $220, $230 in there, and right now it's $285. So even secondhand value to obtain this figure, you know, isn't bad. It's one of those ones that as it gets rarer and stuff like that, though, that price is only going to increase and increase and increase and increase. If you like Gaogaigar, if you like Chigogan or Gokin styled figures, you know, die cast, by all means go ahead and get it. Well worth the price. I'm not going to say and then some because I don't want anybody spending, you know, too much on this, but yeah, definitely worth the price that it's selling at right now. Thank you for watching. This has been another Kuma Style review. I'm TJ Duckin, and I'll see you next time.